Hello and welcome to the Vanguard of Light. Today we're going to be talking about what to do if you don't like where you're at. And this is going to be probably like a 4-part video, but we're going to talk about when you don't like where you're at physically. So obviously when you don't like where you're at physically, the easiest thing is to move. But what happens if you can't move? What about that? Whether it's like you're in a city you don't like, town you don't like, part of the country you don't like, or just like in a house you don't like, or you're in an RV you don't like, wherever you happen to be, and you don't really like where you're at, and you can't necessarily move. Because obviously the easiest thing to do is just pick up and go, because then you solve the problem of not liking where you're physically, but you could also have the situation of like, well, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. So let's talk a little bit about that. Hopefully my voice will hold up. So what you can do without moving, because you can get a lifting or a lightening, like, because at the end of the day, it's like you don't like where you're at because there's an emotion, there's a feeling that's causing that. But it's kind of this weird thing with, there's where you're physically, right? And then there's an emotional energy to that location. There's a mental energy to that location. And there's a spiritual energy to that location, right? So when you pick up and move to a different location, that new location, obviously it's a different location, it's going to have different energies, and it will cause a change in your mental energy, in your emotional energy, and your spiritual energy. So it's kind of like when you go on a vacation, sometimes you have that big lift because you're just in a new environment and you get that change just from moving to a new location. But what's interesting is that just the non-physical, non-locale nature of our spirit is that we can change the mental signature, the emotional signature, and the spiritual signature of where we're at. And part of that, it comes from one, there's got to be a sincerity. So if there's this area where I'm at, this condition, this physical condition that I'm experiencing I really don't like, and if you can't instantly change it, right, but you can get that lift of making that change without actually changing that situation. And this works good for even a financial situation, a physical financial thing where you don't have the finance that you want, but you want to be someplace else. But it's like you want to get out of the pain of it though right away, right? Even though you might not get there yet. And luckily, because of this non-physical is non-locale, non-physical nature of us allows us to do that. So okay, I ran out of whatever I ran out of. We'll keep going. Out of a trail. So you can mentally, energetically, or spiritually and emotionally change your location from your physical, one, by just deciding, right? That's actually going to put you in a different place, at least in those 3 realms. So your physical place doesn't change, but you change, and you feel the uplift of that by being like a commitment of oh no, I'm leaving. Whatever about this place, I feel I'm done, I want to leave. I might not be able to immediately leave or immediately be able to change it, but you make that commitment, I'm changing it. This is done. I will clean up whatever I need to clean up, but I'm changing to my new location. I'm going to start, mentally being in my new location, emotionally being in my new location, spiritually being in my new location. And now you're going to find that even if you're still physically where you're at, you're going to start getting that lightening, that upliftment, because even though you haven't changed, you are committed to that change. So it's simply a matter of committing and then hanging out there, knowing that your emotions can hang there into that new place. It's not so much staying though. It's not oh, I feel better. That's the I guess, what is it called? The trap of it, of because there is this kind of agreement, if you don't leave, you're oh, I feel so much better, right? To where it's going to possibly implode back down. It doesn't mean you can't come back to where you are, but know that it's you had that spark of this ain't the right place for me, right? And it could come from that emotionally, mentally, and spiritually you're not in alignment to where you're at, and so by saying oh, I'm gonna change those qualities, I feel better where I'm at. But most likely just honor that, okay, physically this isn't the right spot for me. So I'm gonna make that intention, that declaration. I'm gonna find another spot. I'm gonna clean up whatever I need to clean up here physically, if I have to. And then emotionally, spiritually, and mentally hanging out in that new place. So it's kind of like your spirit, your non-physical essence bridges that gap and goes to a new location. And now you can feel that pull. It's pulling you from that physical reality, which that's what gives you that lifting, because it's like, you know that this physical reality isn't going to stay stuck, isn't going to be whatever is causing you want to like change your physical reality. Now you've got this energetic pull pulling you out of it. So it might take however long it takes. At least now you have the uplifting, knowing that you're going to this new location. And if you feel it all implode, it's probably because one of those or all of those stopped being like away from you in the gap. That makes sense. They're not creating that gap. So now all of a sudden you feel that stuckness, that like, no, I'm here. I'm not changing. I'm not going to leave, right? I'm getting caught up with like, no, here's my physical reality. I can't get out of it. And da-da-da-da-da-da. That pulls back your spirit, pulls back your emotion, pulls back your thoughts to here, where's the place you wanted to escape, the place you wanted to leave, versus being like, okay, I know I want to leave this place. I commit to leaving this place. Like if you get that intuitive sense of like, hey, I need to leave, you know, but by then saying like, okay, I'm leaving. I'm committed to leaving. I'm open to what that new place will be. You'll get that uplifting. And if you never see it collapse, I bet you pulled your spirit in, you pulled your feelings in, you pulled your thoughts in. So hopefully that helps with changing. Like if you want to change your physical location, you can't just get up and change it, is to start changing those three aspects, because those are what in the non-physical realm will actually change. They'll cause all the events that need to occur for your physical reality to change. But you guys just make sure you keep them to where that new location is so they can pull you there, versus if you collapse them back to what's happening in the reality right now and being like, well, this is what's real. Well, that's what's going to get reprinted as real. But if you keep those parts of you, you know, in that place you want to be, you'll start to get pulled there, and you'll get the upliftment of being in that new place. That's the coolest thing, is you can actually start feeling good now by doing those behaviors. So hopefully that helps. Until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.